Hello everyone, welcome to the Curious Community. This is our new place of cozy reflection. It's our window of curiosity that explores different ways of thinking, different ideas and possibilities. Here we meet amazing people from diverse backgrounds and discuss their vision and ideas for a better and more beautiful world for everyone.
I'm Sabah Khan, and with me as a co-host Alim Beg is here. And today we have a very special guest, Atte Kaleva, member of Finnish Parliament, author, security specialist, and chair of the Pakistan-Finland Parliamentary Friendship Group.
This is true, yes.
Atte has been a Helsinki councillor since 2017. He has won all 3 city council election since then, and his popularity seems to be increasing. Atte became a member of Finnish Parliament on the Kokoomus Party ticket in 2021 and serves on various parliamentary committees. Like a true Finn, he loves nature, outdoor activities and adventures.
Oh yes, you could say that, yeah, that's true. Right now I'm a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee and the Constitutional Law Committee. Okay. And I'm also a vice member of the Defense Committee.
Okay.
So it's I have my handful at the Parliament regarding work. Because, as you know, the Finnish system is so that we do not have a constitutional court. We have the Constitutional Law Committee, who is overseeing that all the legislation that the current government is passing is in accordance with the Finnish constitution. So we do it beforehand, not afterwards. And some people accuse that this is a politicized committee because it's made of politicians. But my question is, if you have a constitutional court who is in hindsight regarding the constitutionality of the legislation, then who is electing the judges to this court? So this court can also be politicized, like we see in so many countries happening. So, of course, when I go to the Constitutional Law Committee meeting, I'm not leaving my values and my background behind, because how could you? Of course, you're taking them with you. But we have representatives from all the parties, in almost all the parties in Parliament. So this makes it that we are trying to always find a unanimous decision, not voting. Like in normal committees, normal parliamentary work, you always vote. You always have the government side who is trying to push forward the government reforms and the legislation. You have the opposition who is trying to make some adjustments or completely vanish, but not in the Constitutional Law Committee. And same applies to the Foreign Affairs Committee. Very seldom we vote. We always try to find a common way for Finnish foreign policy, because this is so, as a small country, this is so important for us that we are unified.
Yeah. I think it reflects basically on the whole makeup of the Finnish political systems, that it's not a two-party system.
No, it's a multi-party system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have various different views, and you always have coalition governments.
Yes.
And that incorporates all different ideas. It's not just like my way or the highway.
That's
always,
true.
Yes.
This also makes, sometimes as a politician, you can find this frustrating, because it's difficult to get any real reforms done when you always have to take into consideration the other parties in the majority coalition government. But it also makes it so that we are not moving in very rapid changes. We are changing very slowly. And this has some goodness in it, because then if you have a two-party system and it's going like back and forth, left and right all the time. So if you own a sailing boat and you're going one direction, then the other direction, you're not progressing very much. But whereas if you're not turning too much, you're just slowly progressing, then you can have things done. And Finland joining NATO, for example, that was a huge change in the paradigm. But it happened because the majority in the parliament, they came to the conclusion that we should join NATO. My party has always been pro-NATO, so for me it was easy. But for the other parties, it wasn't an easy process. But we were able to do really quick maneuvers when needed to. But it happens very seldom. So I think it's quite a good system.
So Atte is especially important for us because of his work towards improving the relation and cooperation between Finland and Pakistan. Welcome.
Thank you.
So
Shukriya.
Oh, yeah.
Shukriya, yeah, okay. Have you ever been to Pakistan?
I've been to Pakistan. I used to serve as a United Nations military observer, unarmed observer in the Kashmir area, in Islamabad.
Oh, okay.
And then all around in Kashmir. You would say Azad Kashmir, I would say Pakistan-administered Kashmir, because I have to be neutral. And also in Gilgit-Baltistan.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Kashmir is very beautiful, but you
Yeah.
you fly to Skardu, and you're actually flying lower than the mountains. So when you look out the plane window, you can see you are flying lower than the mountaintops.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Gilgit is also a beautiful city.
Exactly. That mountain range is one of the most dangerous ones for mountain climbers.
You have K2, for example,
Yes.
Yeah.
the most
Yes.
dangerous mountain, and it's so
Exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah. Do you have any interest in mountain climbing?
I have, yeah. I used to climb myself, but then because my wife suffers from vertigo, so she's afraid of heights.
Oh.
So then I had to let it go, because then every time I was in the mountains, and when you do this expedition style climbing in the high mountains, it requires a lot of time because you need to acclimatize. So it's the highest I've been to was in Mustagata in China, quite close to the Pakistani border, by the way, more than 7,500 meters high. So you have to go up and down to acclimatize for 3 weeks, and then you can make a push for the summit. So spending 3 weeks away from the wife and family, it's not at the moment. It's not anymore possible for me. But as a young man, I was very into mountaineering.
So you were stationed there and either side of the Kashmir
Yes.
divide. Unfortunate, but that we have the situation that we have. But it's people on either side. It's just normal people, and the politics drives the divisions.
Yeah.
But hopefully things get better in future.
And I could easily see this with my own eyes when I was traveling from Pakistan to India. We had one border crossing in Sialkot that we were able to cross the military observers. From Sialkot, we went to Jammu. So the drivers, because we didn't drive ourselves, we had the Pakistani military drivers and then the Indian military drivers. So, of course, they were conversing, and Urdu and Hindi are very close, so they were able to understand each other. And when we crossed at the border, it was not like there was any hostility or animosity between the individual people.
Yes.
And I asked them on both sides that don't you hate the Pakistanis? I was asking the Indians. They said, no, sir, no, beautiful people. Only government not good. Same with the Pakistanis. They said, the Indian, no problem with them. So it's this is very often the case.
Yes.
When I was stationed, I was there for 15 months. Also, I was serving in Srinagar, in the Indian administered Kashmir, when the headquarters of the UNMOGIP mission, the military observer group in India and Pakistan, during the winter time it's in Islamabad, and during the summertime the headquarters moves to Srinagar. So I was serving in all the stations, fortunately. And it's when I announced my friends that I'm going there now as a military observer, and they were like, okay, oh God, we will not see you anymore, because the popular picture that you have of Pakistan here in the West, in Europe, also in Finland, when you have Pakistan in the news, it's always some earthquake or some accident like major natural disaster or terrorism or problems with India. So then when I arrived in Islamabad, and I mean, the people are really beautiful, hospitality is great, the level of acceptance I could really feel it. Same all around in Kashmir. We were driving, every day we drove around in car patrols, and people were greeting us with open arms. They say, it's great you have here. So I was asking the guys, where's the terrorism? Where are the natural disasters? Where is the horrible things that it's always depicted in the media? So we are not getting the good proper picture of Pakistan. We're getting the bad picture, which is not actually the truth.
Yeah.
True. It's a shame, but bad news is now news basically means bad news.
Yeah.
So there's this continuous feed of bad news, and it drives people to to paranoia to
This
that
is
level.
true.
Even it's an unfortunate. So so nice to hear you say that you've been there and you understand the situation, how it is, and on either side, if not for the politics, people just love each other.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'll just take a second Pakistanis here and Indians here, we're like most of if not most, but many of my friends are Indians. We have been arranging events in collaboration with them. We have our music nights, and we get Indian friends who come and perform and sing. We sing together. We eat together, and we enjoy. We have arranged a ghazal night that's next month at our place, and there are about 8 or 9 Indian classical music lovers,
Yeah.
along with our Pakistani friends, and we're just like we're one people essentially.
This is true, and,
Yeah.
and then when people say that you are having problems and there's almost at the brink of war, but whenever you have abroad Pakistani and Indian communities, they always mix well together and they live together. And the drivers, when they were listening to their music in the cars, they were listening to Lata Mangeshkar and Asha Bhonsle.
Yeah.
And it's not like this. There was no level of animosity against Indians in itself. Of course,
Yeah.
we all know what happened at the partition. And this is a big, horrible disaster, a catastrophe. But it's on a human level. People are able to interact very nicely.
Great,
No
great.
problem.
It seems you're familiar with some of the Pakistani and Indian
Yeah.
singers, like
So much.
Well,
Lata.
I was there for 15 months, so I was
15 months.
15
Wow,
months.
okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
significant.
I served as the Finnish national senior, but then unfortunately Finland made the decision that we withdrew from the UNMOGIP mission, which was really a very bad decision. They asked me also when I was there. I served as a captain. I'm a major now, but I was a captain then. So of course, I mean, in the military, you do as you're told. But I contacted my headquarters and say, now you're making a very, very big mistake, because operationally, we don't have any arms. The military observers are unarmed. So our arms are binoculars, camera. We are there to observe. We don't take part. We do not pass judgment. We only observe and we investigate if there is some breach of the ceasefire. So operationally, I'm not a better officer. I have a history in the Finnish military, in the army. So I used to be an officer, a commissioned officer in the army. But it doesn't make me a better officer. If the Russians are attacking us, it doesn't help me that I spent 15 months looking at the big binoculars in Karakoram. But what is very important is the political aspect. That because it's very cheap to send unarmed military observers when you compare it with a big contingency mission like we had in Afghanistan. So we are sending a company, about 120 soldiers. You need to take care of the logistics. You need to take care of the food, water, ammunition, guns, transportation, vehicles, whatever. Whereas the UNMOS, you just give them a few sets of clothes, these uniforms, off you send them. And then they come back after 1 year. So it's very cost effective. And then we had the Finnish flag all around the map tables in New York, in Geneva, displaying that we are taking part in this trying to. I mean, we cannot. If India and Pakistan start a war together, we cannot do anything. There's nothing we can do. But we can be there as the eyes for the international community, that at least if there is some kind of unwanted escalation, we can be there to de-escalate and say, hey, guys, we will investigate, we will see what happened. Yeah. Maybe somebody misfired a gun. And this could trigger a nuclear war between the two states. Of course, not in reality, but there is this level of danger. So I think it is very important that we have the UNMOGIP presence, and also for the Finnish foreign policy-wise. Because we reopened the embassy, as you know, in Islamabad. And closing the embassy was a huge mistake at the time. When Benazir Bhutto was just elected the second time into power, Finland decided to close the embassy. But I mean, that was a mistake. Fortunately, the guys at the foreign ministry, they also came to the conclusion that this was a big mistake. The Finnish ambassador to Pakistan was a roving ambassador. He came there so many times, like 4 times a year, and he said, this is a disgrace, Atte, that he has in his basket Pakistan, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. That these 4 countries, I mean, Bhutan is a wonderful country. I've never been there, but I would like to go. Sri Lanka, same. Maldives, the same. But you cannot compare these countries with Pakistan, of course. Pakistan has a nuclear weapon. There's so many people, such huge economical potential. So, but he was coming. Now we have an embassy there. But we have no way of knowing what's happening in Kashmir. Back then we had 6 Finnish UNMOS stationed in Kashmir. I was able to brief our ambassador what's happening there because we had eyes over there. So we knew what was happening.
Exactly.
Now we don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry for this long talk, but it's a favorite topic of my Pakistan. I like it so much.
We'll be talking more about this.
Yeah.
So Atte, could you tell us about your childhood, your family, your schooling, early influences, especially anything that shape your interest in security? Foreign affairs or public service? Did you always want to come in politics?
No, not at all. No. I was quite certain that I will never enter politics as a young man.
Oh, okay.
I have always been interested in politics. I had a very nice upbringing. I had a very safe and secure family. With my mother and father are very religious, so it was traditional values that was upheld in, and I think this is a very good foundation for any kid to be raised in this kind of very safe, loving environment with rules, strict rules.
Yeah.
That you are not, because the child is not the one who is making the rules and calling the shots. It has to be the parent, and the parent has to take into account what the child. Once we have to accept every child as they are, but we also have to make clear rules and boundaries on what behavior is good and what is not good, what is tolerated, what is not tolerated, because it's the responsibility of the parent to bring up the child, educate and instruct the child to become a good grown-up. So I'm very fortunate in this, and now my mom and dad are still alive and they're living next to me, so very close, so I can now take care of them. I mean, they don't need to be taken care of, but they can help me with my kids, and we can have this, which you can find in the Indian subcontinent, this kind of overlapping the generations, that you have the grandparents are actively involved in the lives of their kids and helping with the grandkids. And I've been able to take this, because it is not very common in Finland, unfortunately. We're sort of distracted from it. But I had a very nice childhood. My dad always followed politics closely. He never was into politics. But my mom and dad belonged to the Kokoomus party at some point. So they have this kind of moderate conservative values that we had in the family. This doesn't always mean that the child will become a moderate conservative if the parents are. And if the parents are pushing this, then it's quite obvious that the child will not be a moderate conservative, but more like a liberal leftist. But we talked about politics, we followed politics. When I was in the high school, I couldn't really know what to do. I mean, at that time we didn't really have good counseling on what profession you might do. So I was quite good at mathematics and physics, and I thought these are quite nice, subjects. So then why not go to study mathematics and physics? And the most difficult place to get in was the Helsinki University of Technology in Otaniemi.
It probably still is.
Yeah, probably still is.
Yeah.
So I was doing quite well in the what you would call in Britain the A-levels. We had the student examination. Everybody goes there and does this at the end of their high school studies. So I was doing well in mathematics and physics, and I got free admission I got admitted to the University of Turku. I'm from Turku originally.
Okay.
So, but I thought, okay, if I'm going to get free admission there, then this place is not for me because it's too easy to get in there. So I need to go to some place that is very difficult to get into. And the most difficult place was the University of Technology, which is now Aalto University. So I thought, okay, this is my place. And I applied and I got accepted. And so I was, after my obligatory military service as a conscript, I was enabled to start my studies in energy technology. That was my major.
Okay.
But even when I was in the military, I found it very, very nice, the organization, the structure and the hierarchy. And although it seems that the military is very rigid in a way, organizationally, but actually you have a lot of freedoms. Because most of the organizations that we have, either official ones or the ones that we have in our heads, they also tend to be very rigid, but you don't see it on the outside. It's like hidden. Whereas in the military, you could see the insignia that you have the military rank, and this is a clear way of showing who's higher up in the echelon and who not. But I thought that this was a very nice experience, and I enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed the culture. I enjoyed doing fun things with my comrades, blowing up things and shooting and running around in the woods, and it was a great fun. But I thought, okay, if I want to become an officer, I thought that would be a very, very nice profession for me. I would love it. But then I thought, an engineer with a diploma gets paid better. I already got the seat in the Helsinki University of Technology. And I studied quite hard to get into this because it's difficult to get in. So I thought, okay, I will go there and start over there. But then when I studied, and I was 3 years in the Otaniemi, and every single time we went to see on an excursion to a firm, a company, and the young engineers with diplomas, they were telling us, this is so great fun what I'm doing. And every single time I thought, oh my God, I wish I would never have to do this as a profession.
Okay.
So I failed to see one job that I would say that this really interests me. So one of my friends was, then I was into reservist activities, and I was doing this kind of obligatory rehearsal trainings and quite a lot. So one of my friends said, Atte, what do you really want to do? If you could just have a choice, choose whatever you want. And I said, if I could do whatever I want, I would become an instructor for the conscripts. I would like to train the young men and women, young boys and girls, to becoming better soldiers, but also better humans, human beings, because this is the last level that you can meet the whole generation, male generation, and some of the female. So the guy asked me, why don't you apply for the military academy then? And I said, no, but I cannot quit this because I'm not a person who quits. When I start something, I need to finish it. But at the time, there was no bachelor degree. We didn't do any bachelor degrees in the technology studies. So it was directed the master's degree or the diploma, engineer with diploma degree. I had studied there for 3 years. I still had a long way to go. And we have an age limit to go into the military, in the military academy, 25. You need to be under 25 to apply. So I said, I'm not going to finish my studies here in Otaniemi until I'm older than 25. So I made a choice to quit Otaniemi and go to the military academy. And this I never, not even for 1 second, I regret it, because I remember when I was walking in the some kind of live fire exercise or some other exercise in the woods, in the forest, with the conscripts, with my fellows from my company. And I think that I'm very blessed because I'm getting paid for doing this stuff that I would do even without getting paid. And somebody is paying me, the government is paying me to do this. So this was a very, very happy time in my life. Of course, I found my wife in the University of Technology in Otaniemi. So I didn't leave empty-handed. Maybe I can do some calculations and maybe I know a little bit about energy technology, although maybe most of it is outdated already, the technology-wise. But I found my wife, so I'm very happy.
That's probably the last place someone finds a wife.
No, there's a lot of unfortunately there's a lot of male students in the okay. Otaniemi, especially in energy technology. But my wife studied chemical engineering, so it's okay. I mean, but it's you never know how your life goes. It's you just enjoy the ride. And now I'm getting the same thing from politics, that I'm actually so many times when I'm able to do so interesting things, meet with such interesting people and really go deeper into the interesting topics, especially the foreign affairs. So I very often get the same feeling that I'm really blessed because I'm getting paid to do this wonderful thing, this which is, I think, maybe the most prestigious and most wonderful thing to be is an MP, or maybe the number one is an officer in the army. I don't know which one it is, but these are the top two.
I think if you were to see the common ground within both is that you're trying to, in your career, I mean, what you enjoyed is like leading people towards a better vision, being better people, a better community, a better country, a better society. So the common thread, I think, in your career has been a better society and a better people, whether it's your battalion or if it's your community and country. So
I think you could say that. It's true, because then we have, because most of the Finnish male population, they go to the military service, and you have types that are a little bit, they might have a criminal record already when they enter, as young as 19, 20-year-olds, even 18-year-olds. You can already have been business with the police, with this kind of problems in life. So I thought that maybe if I can impact their lives, even at the slightest. I remember one time, this was early in my career, when a boy or a young man, after he completed the military service, he came to me and he said, "Sir, you were the first one who trusted in me." This was the first time anybody gave any level of trust. Because I told them that, I have full trust in you. If you screw up, then you will get a penalty. But until you screw up, I have full trust. I don't care what you were and who you were in your previous lives. They literally get stripped down of their clothes and they are issued new ones. You put on the same uniform. When they come into the military service, everybody is on the same level. All the generals, the 4-star generals in Finnish army, at one time they were a recruit.
Of course.
So they know how it's, and you can sort of build this kind of level of trust and self-esteem. So the boy said that this has boosted his self-esteem a lot, because previously he thought of himself as a useless person who is just like a detriment to the society. And then he was in the military and he was giving responsibilities, and then I trusted him and he was able to perform. So it gave him a boost. Most likely he went back to his old ways afterwards, but at least at some point he could think that, you know, this one senior lieutenant, he at least gave me a chance and he took it and was able to make something out of himself in the military.
I think in life it's so important to have somebody believe in you.
Yeah.
In my previous life, I briefly worked as a physics teacher for high schoolers in Pakistan. And in one of, in the schools, they have these parent-teachers meetings. And one of the students who was like hyperactive, so he would be noisy. I mean, in Finnish, the crucial difference between the Finnish and society and the Pakistani society, as you know, is that Finnish society is very open and very accepting, whereas in Pakistani or in South Asian or Asian cultures mostly, it's very structured. And discipline and hierarchy are very, like embedded and built in, and you're expected to respect that. And that goes in the schooling system as well. So in one of our parent-teacher meeting, I mean, he hadn't performed so well, so all the parents would go to the subject teachers one by one and have been going and hearing quite a bit not so nice things about their son, and he had his head hanging down, and they were like getting redder and redder all the time until they reached my class. Where I was the physics teacher there, and then they sat down and the parents said, "Okay, so now what do you have to tell us?" Like for my subject, and they were expecting me to say, "Yeah, this guy is like this and that." And
absolutely.
I realized that what was happening here, and about my student, I felt ownership of my students and realized, no, this is not right. So then I said, okay, he hasn't performed so well, but he's got these strengths, and I'm low. So I see so much promise in it and in him, and all the good things I could list, I did instead of pointing out. And from that day onwards, that student, he became the best student in my subject.
Yeah.
And he was like, he used to be, I won't say bully because I hope he's not listening, but he used to be very kind of, let's say, I'd use the word rowdy. Yeah. Because there are some boys, boys tend to be like that at that age.
Yeah, that's true.
But then he would be the guy who controlled the class if ever it was getting too noisy.
Yeah.
And he focused on the subject and accelerated and became really good. So I think, like you said, the example of the conscript.
Yeah.
And I think generally in life as well as in communities, we need to have people believe in each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it could be that a person or so might not be performing so well, might not be in the best place in his life, but if there's someone to listen to him and, just like nudge, all that we need as people, as humans, we're all the same.
Yeah.
It's just a bit of push or just a bit of even that,
and
you're not that bad.
That's true. And if you are placing the role of the person who is not doing very good, the person who is the troublemaker or the one who is always causing problems, then you are actually putting this kind of robe onto this person. Very often they are boys. And then they start behaving in accordance because they say, this is my role in the class. But when you strip of this robe of them, sometimes these types can be very insecure deep inside. And they hide this insecurity because, especially as boys, you need to show the facade that you're very tough and you're very sort of this kind of typical behavior. So when you strip them of this idea and said, no, there is so much good in you. To believe in yourself because I believe in you. This gives them a huge boost in morale to some of the kids. And this is where you can make a change. And that was something that I found very nice in the military, that I was able to make a change. Now, at that time, it was on the individual level, of course, because I was interacting with individuals. Then afterwards, as an officer, you are not able to instruct the recruits anymore, but you have to progress in your career. And then I was coming to the stage when I was supposed to go to the headquarters duty. And I was thinking to myself, do I really want to sit in an office, basically writing this kind of orders that nobody reads, nobody cares about, just working inside the office. I didn't want to do it when I was studying at the University of Technology, where I could have gotten maybe 2 times the pay that I would get in the military. So why do I need to do it now? When I was not, and I was able to maneuver myself. There are certain ways that you can, when you know that you are supposed to be transported, you have to go to the headquarters. You can maneuver around this. But then the third time I was doing it, the chief of HR within my brigade, he came and said, Atte, I know what you've been doing. You've been dodging this for 2 times, and this is the third time, and this is the last time. Now you need to go. And I said, sir, I thought I was doing it very cleverly, but they knew exactly what I was doing. So then I thought, why not go into the politics? Even though I before we were watching the parliamentary sessions, I remember Finnish military is very unpoliticized. All politics has been stripped of there. You cannot do any political rallying or campaigning when you're wearing the military uniform. Military personnel are not allowed to become members of any political party. You cannot have any political activity within the compounds of the military, within the barracks. So it's not something that is looked favorably. If somebody becomes political as a military type, then he will be frowned upon, and his fellows will say that we don't like this kind of thing. Because the army is for everybody, for every Finnish people. It's not only for the conservative or the liberal or whatever. It's for everybody, and it needs to be for everybody. Back in 1930s, we had this kind of right-wing extremism also within the military, and this was very, very bad. They almost made a coup. So it's we don't want this kind of thing to happen anymore.
So, how do you think raising kids in Finland and the kids' experience have changed now? What is different from the way kids are raised these days in Finland and their schooling from what it was in your time? Are things getting better or worse for children?
I think they are getting better and worse. My oldest son is now 6 years old, so he's in the preschool stage. And now the preschool is mandatory for them. Before we used to have this that during when you become 7, during this year, a child must go to the school. We don't have a must. You don't have to actually go to the school. You have to learn. This is the responsibility. So you can have kids in homeschool. You can have them in private schools, but mostly everybody goes to these public governmental schools, or it's the municipality who's in charge of it. So this is the common way. There was no because we were used to be a very unified culture. So there was no school shopping, as you would call it. People would just go to the school nearest to them, and everybody knew that they are going to get a good education. Of course, some teacher might be more committed, although I would have to say that nearly all of them were very committed and motivated. So, but it was not an issue. We didn't have this kind of segregation within the different areas. Even now, you could argue that the segregation you find here in Helsinki, or in Tampere or Turku, or in Finland in general, it's not as big of an issue as you might have it in other places of the world. But we are starting to see this. Then the other part is that we are making the kids make choices for their life, which can influence the rest of their lives from an early age. The human brain is developing up until 25 years of age, especially the frontal lobes. So how can you expect a 15-year-old teenager to make any sound choices for their lives when they do not even know themselves who they really are, what they want to do? So we shouldn't put they shouldn't have to open some doors and close other doors at a too early age. We should the schooling system should be more like general education and making them civilized persons who can then choose when they become adults. So of course, in the gymnasium, in the high school, you need to make some choices, as I did, and I chose mathematics and physics because I liked them. But there was I cannot say that I was really, that I had this clear path that I will do these choices and then I will go to the University of Technology and do stuff. So you would have to have more open doors because we are a very small nation, 5.6 million people living in Finland. We need to include everybody in the society. We cannot afford losing a lot of people becoming jobless or without any motivation to do anything. We need to keep everybody on board. Everybody who can, or able-bodied people, need to be on board.
But definitely there has been a decline in the performance of kids. For instance, I think the last time Finland was on the top of the PISA results, so that was 2006, I guess.
I think so.
It was number one.
Yeah.
And now it's gradually fallen down to 20th place in PISA. This is almost incredible for a country to be, to go from the top ranking down to the 20th. So
I would say there are two explanations to this. One is a domestic explanation, that we had this ideological stuff that was introduced into the schools. For example, inclusion, which in terms means that you have special needs students, kids with special needs. And before that, you had them, they were in their own classrooms. Somebody might be overly sensitive to noise or whatever. So you could have classrooms that were totally silent so that they could focus. You could have people who were too easily excited and too, like you said, rowdy. So you would have those in their own classrooms where they would get their special needs attended to. Now we got the inclusion, which in a way it's a nice idea, that you put the special needs kids in the same classrooms with the kids who don't have any special needs. You would need to incorporate a lot of special needs teachers, special teachers there too, and even then I don't know if it would function. The idea was that you could both groups would be able to interact with one another. You could see that there are not everybody is like me, that you have different people as well, which is in itself nice. But the execution meant the way it was executed. And so many teachers, literally every single teacher that I've talked to, also the not from my party, from the Social Democratic Party voters, they say that the same thing. This was a disaster because the time of the teacher goes to calming down these kids who are too rowdy. Then you have kids who are very attentive to this noise and very sensitive. So they will become very jumpy because there's a lot of noise. So one teacher told me, and this, I don't want to go into detail who it was, but she told me that her time in the classroom goes to ensuring that kids don't kill one another, basically. So there is no room for teaching anymore, and there's no room for learning. So we are this inclusion and whatever you have with it. This was a very, very big mistake. Then you have open classrooms. You don't have any allocated seating for the kids. You don't have any discipline in the school. So of course it becomes a mayhem. This was the domestic issue. And then we have the immigration that we didn't really have when I was a kid. Finland was a very closed society. We were very open in the 1930s. In Viborg, which is the second biggest city before it was the Russians occupied it, you could hear 7 or 8 languages being spoken in the street because there were so many people coming and going all the time. Then after the Second World War, it closed down. We were under the Soviet sphere of influence, and nobody was coming, nobody was going. So you couldn't see, you could only see people who looked like me. I remember an instant when there was a completely black young boy who could speak absolutely perfect Finnish with a thick Savolax accent from Kuopio. And everybody, he was on TV and everybody was struck with awe. How is this possible? That you have a completely black person who can speak Finnish so good. Because before we only had maybe basketball players coming from the US who were black. And this kid was adopted from Ethiopia, or was it Kenya? I don't remember, but from Africa as a baby. So of course he grew up as a Finn. But at the time it was not happening very often. Now we have a better situation because we have so much immigration coming. But the problem is that some of the groups that are coming in are not culturally, their work ethic and their way of existing is completely different to the Finnish work ethic. And we are not demanding that they incorporate into the Finnish system. We are letting them become segregated in their own areas where they live. Of course, everybody wants to, if you go to as a humanitarian refugee or an asylum seeker, of course you want to go to a place where you have a lot of people from the same cultural background. This is the universal. Finnish people going to Spain, they all go to Fuengirola in the same area. So this means that we are now letting these people, some of these people who are not, they find it difficult to adjust to the Finnish culture. So we are teaching them in their own language, not requiring them to study Finnish. We are providing them with free interpretation, or it's not free, of course, the city is paying for it, but it doesn't cost anything to the person indefinitely. So you can actually go on living in Finland without ever being a part of the Finnish society, without ever being included in the Finnish society. And then when the mothers are not included, they will pass this on to their children, who will not be able to read, write, do basic mathematics, and we still graduate them from the elementary school because the teachers find that they will be accused of racism if they say that, this boy doesn't know how to read. But we will just give him pass them on to the next grade and the next grade because we don't want to be labeled as racist. And I said, we are doing a huge disfavor to the kids themselves, because if you graduate from the Finnish educational system without being able to properly read and write or do basic maths, then like percentage counting, mathematics, it's not really like even mathematics, it's just calculus. So if you cannot do these fundamental things, then you will be a second-class citizen within the society, because you don't have the skill sets of what is needed to be active in the society.
Yeah, I think you've touched upon. This is such a important debate topic, and it has so many different angles.
Yeah.
But how you've placed it is I think it's very natural.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. Putting it in one or the other, like pro or con side, it doesn't help. But the way you have framed it's realistic.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think what happens is that I'm an immigrant. I came here in '99, and we've been here for quite some time. And we've seen the immigrant communities, how they behave. We're part of that. And you're right. How I see, I think I may be wrong. I'm not a specialist in this. Is that Finland has been very good and very open, but one of the failings, or let's say, if not, perhaps failings, is an oversight on part of the Finnish government or the people who make decisions, is that you can't expect somebody who's coming from socially, let's say, very challenging circumstances, like the refugees or war-torn refugees, or all the mess that is happening and where the refugees are coming from. I mean, any one of us can become a refugee. Like God forbid something happens, a natural disaster or a war or anything around Europe. Like Ukraine nobody would have imagined you would have Ukrainian refugees. I mean, I remember that when the Ukrainian refugees the issue started to come up, and they would say, "Oh, they're like just like us." It was hard to see Ukrainian refugees with blue-eyed white people coming as refugees.
Because the traditional refugee, that you have this image in your head when somebody says refugee,
exactly,
is of a person who is more dark in their skin color, and
correct.
And this is also racism in a way. Because then you are you have this kind of subconscious attitude that all the people who have a darker skin tone or black, that they are somehow victims, that we need to treat them as they would be not like ordinary human beings, but we need to provide them with a lot of services because they are victims of some sort. And this kind of woke rhetoric that you say that it's like this sort of a white man's burden. It's a little bit like the white man's burden, that we should somehow take more care of these people from Africa, for example, because of the colonial history. Finland doesn't have a colonial history, but we have this kind of mindset that we are not interacting with them from an individual basis. We are interacting with the refugees from a group. So we fail to see that there are individuals.
Yes.
There are individuals who are very good, talented. There are individuals who have some kind of special needs that they need to attend to special needs programs. But if the only thing we're doing is we're labeling them as people who are not able to take care of themselves, not as individuals.
Yes.
So we are saying, okay, you go to the Kela, you get some social subsidies, you live by them. This we should not do. We should say to everybody, when you come to Finland, you are welcome, but you need to work.
Yeah.
Because work is the best way of making somebody feel at home in the society.
Exactly, and I'll second that, and I would say that as a fact, I mean, when people come from economically deprived or let's say war-torn areas, their concern is is, they want to work hard, and they're not looking for free money. They're looking for opportunities, in the sense of, like making. I mean, they've seen how bad life can get.
Yeah.
They don't want that to happen again. So they are willing to work. They want to make life better for themselves and for their families. The whole idea of immigration is that life is bad or hopeless in one place.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason nobody wants to leave their home.
No, absolutely.
And absolutely. From the south, where life is essentially, if there are no disasters, let's not classify natural or man-made, but if there are no disasters, it's a comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
And the only reason people are forced to leave are things beyond their control.
Yeah.
And it's like anybody would want to protect themselves, their lives and their families. And when they do that and they get opportunity of coming to a stable country and a welcoming country as Finland, what they really need and they really hope to get are opportunities.
Absolutely.
So
and we are not very good at giving them opportunities, because we don't really encourage this kind of work-based immigration. We do not encourage the people who would like to come to Finland. I was talking to the former Indian ambassador, and he said, "Why are you shooting yourself in the knee? Because whenever you have an Indian person who is willing to relocate and considers coming to Finland, they said, okay, we have this kind of fast track for the work visa. But in order to get to the fast track, you first have to go to the interview, and you have a 4 weeks queue to go to the interview. So all the types who are waiting for the 4 weeks time lapse to go to the interview, they already went to the US, to Germany, to other places.
Yeah.
If you don't have any ties, and if you're not especially keen that you want to come to Finland, you can choose Sweden, you can choose Denmark, a very safe, same kind of societies. So, but the one thing that we were doing is it was lucrative for people to come as asylum seekers. You just paid for the human traffickers to get you to the border, maybe 10,000 euros, maybe 11,000 euros, depending. And then you said asylum, and you will be taken into the process, which can last 6 months up to 1.5 years. But you are not you are prohibited from working during this process. So we are actually in these asylum seeking centers where we house the asylum seekers, and there's a lot of young men who are prevented from working. It's against the law that you cannot work when you're an asylum seeker. Then we are creating a lot of problems there, because what we should do is we should say we are not taking as asylum seekers this a lot, but we are opening up the legal immigration ways for people who want to work in Finland, build their life, create well-being, welfare for them, for their family, for their society, and while doing it also creating tax revenue for the country of Finland.
Exactly.
So this is the kind of immigration we need to lure in more and more, especially from the Indian subcontinent. I would have to say that you seldom see any people loitering around coming from Pakistan, India or Bangladesh, because these people are working. They're taking care of their lives.
Exactly. I mean, Pakistanis typically, she wants us to be on the track.
Sorry, I'm derailing
Let's
again.
go into
So,
let her.
let's discuss your political journey.
Yeah.
You later moved into politics and you chose the Kokoomus National Coalition Party. What drew you to politics, and what about Kokoomus appealed to you in terms of values and vision?
Well, Kokoomus party is of course not perfect. I don't agree with a number of things that my party is officially advocating, but I have answered this question so many times because it's a very good question. And I said, if you make a caricature of all the political parties in Finland, that you make the worst parts of every party into this caricature, then the caricature you're drawing about Kokoomus party is probably the one that I dislike the least. I hate the least. So for me, I've always voted for Kokoomus. It's been quite natural. Kokoomus is of course, we don't really have these right-wing parties in Finland. We don't. There's very few true libertarians who are advocating for a really small state. But my party is saying that we have a little bit too big this public sector. So we need to cut it down. We need to cut down the spending. We need to live by our means. We cannot always live on debt like we have done for since 17 years now. We cannot. We have to put the responsibility on the individual. It's when it comes to taxation, I think that we should let the individual decide what he or she does with her own money. more than what, for example, the Social Democrats will say, that the individual is a stupid person, he or she cannot make decisions, so the government needs to take a lot of money by taxation and then distribute these kind of social welfare benefits. In Finland, the middle class is dependent on the state because of the benefits they're getting. So this creates a mindset that an individual is dependent on the state, which is actually not true. We are paying too much taxes, and we are taking, we are not getting the responsibility on the individual level. We're not letting the individual decide what's good for him or her. And this is my party. We are not libertarians. We are not advocating for total, like the Night Guardian state, where the state is only responsible for defense, police, and taxation collecting. No, of course there is a lot that is good in our Nordic welfare society, but it has gone a little bit too far. My party has always been pro-NATO, pro-EU, pro-individual freedoms, both negative and positive freedoms. So this appeals to me. This is something that when I came into politics, it was a no-brainer. Of course, I joined Kokoomus. This was my party. This was something that I always sort of felt that this is. Even when I was a non-political person, I was always, looking into Kokoomus as my intellectual and political home.
It's interesting because you're a well-traveled person. You've actually been in a difficult area, Kashmir, stationed for what you say, 11, 16?
It was from 2015 to 2017.
So for about over a year you were there. So that's a significant
from
time.
December 2015 to February in 2017.
Yes. So you have a broader. In my opinion, Finns, as in any other culture or country, people who travel around, live around, they are more broad-minded for obvious reasons. It's very natural, and the typical choice of such is typically more liberal parties as well. Like, for instance, I think at the moment Greens is, let's say, I wouldn't want to use a word, but let's say it's more towards, toward the far left side
nowadays,
of the spectrum,
Yeah.
And then you have the SDP. It's not that far left, but it's there. It is left. Essentially, that's what you have in left in Finland. But for a person like you to be conservative, I understand you've come from a conservative background and democratic principles. It makes sense to be in a party that is more balanced.
Yeah.
But how do you see this? Because this goes. It borders into the issue of immigration. It borders into the issue of economy as well. The idea of Kokoomus is seen as the party that is easier on the taxes, like you said, more responsibility for the persons, but at the same time, it takes away the social net, which is also very, you can't have the what is it said, like you can't have the your cake and eat. What is that saying? You can have both sides of the same thing.
Yeah.
You can, if you cut some of the benefits, you would have less taxes. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
But then, how do you balance this? Because for more liberal or progressive ideas, SDP seems to champion those. And I have seen, for instance, we were running PinFin, the Pakistani community in here. We're the biggest network of Pakistanis in Finland. And we ran this political awareness event for the last municipal election. And we have made this an ongoing activity that we do now in every event, because we believe that integration and connectivity won't happen unless the immigrants get involved and engaged with the system, with the political parties, and as such directly. So that's a side note. But
you cannot have this. You cannot force connectivity. You cannot force people. The government or the state cannot force people to form communities.
True.
It has to come from the people, from their individual sort of culture, and they see that this is beneficial for me, and I want to be part of this community. Then it is a sound and rational. I think if you're trying to make it like we have the social democratic welfare state that we have in the Nordics, this has not created a level of belonging, a level of community. Whereas now with the urbanization, people coming from rural areas moving to the cities, it has caused a lot of feeling of losing the roots, not having a community. In the rural areas, you had your family extended family around you. You know your relatives. You know your neighbors. Now in the city, people find that this is, even though we have a social democratic welfare state, the state cannot be your community. Yeah, people don't even greet other people in the when they go up in their apartment houses. They don't know who is living next door, so they don't have this kind of community. I do, fortunately. I know my neighbors, and we somebody doesn't have any flour, so they come and say, I'm baking. Do you have any flour? Yeah, we have got some. This is a communal thing to do, but this has to come from the individuals. This cannot be created by the government. And something I find quite irritating at times is that we have also started adopting the American terms conservative and liberal, because a conservative is not the opposite of a liberal. I'm a conservative liberal myself. I'm a conservative, and I would say that being a conservative means that you think that all change is not necessary for the good. So the opposite of a conservative is a radical, who thinks that the change needs to happen because then it will create some good things, coming from like a destruction creates good things. Whereas a liberal is a person, I consider myself to be very liberal because I'm letting other people live their lives as they choose to live. I don't. It's not for me to decide whether you want to. Sexual orientation. I'm very liberal to that. If somebody is gay, fine. I don't care. I don't care who, as long as nobody is forced and no minors are included. I don't care who you sleep with. It's not for the state to come to say these things or what you want to do with your hard-earned money. It needs to be the person who decides. And on the other spectrum, the far side of the liberal is, of course, the authoritarian, who thinks that government needs to dictate everything in a person's life because a person is incapable of making sound choices. So this is this is somehow I find it strange that the Left Alliance and nowadays the Greens, as you pointed out very well, that they are saying that they are liberal types, where actually there's no liberalism there.
Yeah.
And kokoomus to me is this like classical liberalism. It's of course there are limits to that as well. I before I used to say that I'm a classical liberal, but I don't want to say it anymore because I found that so many of the classical liberals are making this kind of rule in a way that they need to adhere to the classical liberalist principles that adding more freedoms is always a beneficial thing. But if you are looking at the small details, you cannot actually. You have to look at the what's the outcome, not just what's the principle in the head. If you're saying classical liberal and you need to always be a classical liberal, even when it comes to the details, some details you need to control more in a society with 5.6 million inhabitants. So you cannot always just you cannot be too dogmatic. And some of the classical liberals are becoming too dogmatic.
Why do you think so on this political spectrum? Because we want this to have a broader reach. So why do you think immigrants should? Because in this election they mostly voted for SDP.
That's true.
Yeah, and there is a genuine fear in immigrant communities about it's that kokoomus and the current government setup is anti-immigrant and it's out to get them. So why should the immigrants vote for kokoomus party in the upcoming elections instead of SDP? How did you
that's a very good question, because I see that the True Finns party, or is it the Finns party in English nowadays? True Finns, yeah. So they have, of course, they have this in their DNA is this kind of protectionism, that you need to protect the Finnish culture, the originality, some kind of state of affairs that never existed actually in history. But you have this kind of romanticized picture of what was happening in 1930s, for example. That was a golden era. We need to go back there. And I don't think this is that's one of the things why I'm not a true Finn member, because I don't think this is a good way of doing. Also, labeling all immigration as detrimental to the society, it's very bad, because immigration is like an umbrella. And you have so many different kinds of immigration. You have refugees, UN assigned designated refugees that we take according to our quota, according to the criteria that Finland itself poses. Then you have the asylum seekers who we cannot control, people who come to the border and say, I want to have asylum, we need to get them in. Then you have immigration based on love, Very often it's the other spouse is from a different country. You come here, you try to make your life. We have work-based immigration, study-based immigration. So you cannot label all immigrants under one single label. Yeah, sure, you're immigrant, but it's not just that. It's my point of view is it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Hindu or Christian or Jewish, whatever. This has no role in the society. Your skin color, your ethnicity, no role. The only thing that should matter is whether this person is being employed, gets a job in Finland or not. This is actually the only criteria that we should have with the immigration. If you study and you work here, welcome. And this is where I can easily see that the immigrant community might think that, okay, this is not, because this is not really the True Finns agenda. Their agenda is more like hindering all immigration. And it's not actually, when you talk to the True Finns members of parliament, they are not saying that we need to get rid of all immigration, no. But it is also something that the Left Alliance, the Greens, who consider themselves to be the opposing force to the bad True Finns, and the True Finns consider them to be on the opposing side of the lefts and the Greens. So basically when the left or the Green party, they say something, the True Finns need to oppose it, whatever it is, because they need to be on the opposition. And this creates polarization. This is not good for the discussion. So I would say that if a person wants to work, not live on social benefits, if you're entrepreneurial, you want to start your own business, you are active in promoting welfare, creating welfare for yourself, for your family, for your community, and for Finland. You want to be an active part in the Finnish society, then vote for Kokoomus, because we are here for you, for these types of immigrants. Then if you are more into sort of taking it easy and living on subsidies, then we are not the party, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. In closing remark, I think that generally, I believe that there are good and bad people everywhere.
That's true.
There are always some segment of society. Let's not even label it immigrant or natives. Yeah. There are always some people who want to misuse the system, misuse each other. Misuse the ignorance for their political gains. Like, for example, being a Muslim. Of course, you have the Al Qaeda types or the ISIS Daesh types or whatever. And this is not, I mean, they are Muslim, but it's a very small proportion of the world's Muslim population that actually go into this kind of fundamentalist jihadist activity. Yeah. But it's easy for the people in the West, because in Finland, for example, we don't know a lot about Islam. If you ask a common person what's the difference between a Sunni and a Shia Muslim, they will not know what the difference is. So then you say, there's this Islamic terrorism, so all the Muslims are somehow, suspicious. And I said, no. Because we have the types in Christian societies as well. In Christian, like denominations, you can have really strange. Yes. But because we know about Christianity, it's even if you're not a practicing Christian, you know about the culture, the history. So you know that this is a minority. Now the Muslim terrorism, the Islamistic terrorism, it's been on the rise. So of course it makes headlines. But then like coming back to what my friends said when I told them that I'm going to Pakistan, and they said, it's everybody's a terrorist there and it's so horrible. So I come into Islamabad and I said, where are the terrorists? Yeah, exactly.
So knowing more of the world and opening up. Finland as a society, we opened up only after the Cold War ended in the beginning of 1990s. So it's a very recent process. It's like 35 years. So we are still in the process of opening up, in the process of welcoming immigrants, other people who are exotic in a way that we don't know very much about. We had the Muslim community, the Tatars, here since the 1890s, late 19th century. And at the beginning, people were like, "Oh, who are these? What's with this Islam?" But then very soon, because they started working, if they didn't get employed, they started their own businesses. They just didn't drink any alcohol or eat any pork. And they went to the masjid, the mosque, on Fridays, not on Sundays. But the common people said, these are nice types, really good types. They work, they create welfare for themselves. There's no problem.
Yeah, and it's the same for, more specifically for, like you said, the bad guys or the crazy guys. They're always there in every society, every religion. and unfortunately they're too noisy, and the noise gets picked up by the media,
Yeah.
and it becomes the image or the main image portrayed of the whole community, and that is an absolute shame.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
This kind of news sells newspapers. This kind of, when you have the news that there was a terrorist attack in Pakistan, people will click on this news and they will read it and, oh, it's horrible, what happened?
Exactly.
But if you have a news that said, it was a beautiful day in sunny, beautiful day in wonderful Kashmir, nobody will click this because they say, it's not
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, it's business. Okay, let's go.
So, according to Statistic Finland, in the last municipal election, only 2.8% of candidates were foreigners, despite comprising 8.6% of the eligible voters. What are your views in specific and the Kokoomus party policy and the steps it has taken to increase the immigration community's engagement with the Finnish political system?
That's also a very, very good question. There are electoral observers coming from the Council of Europe, even to Finnish elections, of course, like we observe all the elections. Finland is a very established democracy, so basically it's not like there's not so much need for electoral observation because we know that the elections are not rigged. The ballot boxes will be empty in the beginning and you will not add any more votes there. But this is something that we need to safeguard. Even so, even though we are very established at the moment, democracy is a very delicate thing that it can easily be broken. So one thing that we are getting constantly reminded, and I spoke to the electoral observers, and they told me, Atte, it's really difficult to find any room for improvement in Finland because you are so well established. But the one thing they said that is most of the elections material used to be in Finnish or Swedish only. Maybe some in English, but not a lot. So you actually need to have quite good level of understanding in Finnish language to be able to participate in the political debate because it's all done in Finnish. Mm. The working languages in the Helsinki City Hall are Finnish and Swedish. Same in the parliament. It's actually forbidden in the parliament to use any other language than Finnish or Swedish. Mm-hmm. There was an exception made when the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, was coming to attend the parliamentary meeting. And our speaker, Jussi Halla-aho, who is also an MP, he's very fluent in Ukrainian language because he used to serve in Ukraine as a foreign ministry clerk in his youth. So he speaks fluent Ukrainian. So it was decided that he is allowed to greet President Zelensky in Ukrainian, give his speech in Ukrainian, partly in Ukrainian. But this had to be agreed on by all the parties, that you are allowed to use a language other than Finnish or Swedish in the big hall of the parliament. So it's political language is not always so easy. It's not like this. Finnish as a language is completely unlike any other language. So you're not getting any benefits from if you know English. Mm-hmm. This will not benefit you very much in studying Finnish. So first of all, the level of language needs to be quite high in order for this person to participate. And then when we have debates, we are not using simplified terms. We are, of course, in the heat of the debate, you're very quick, speaking very quickly. So sometimes it can be. It might not be so easy for people who don't have Finnish as their first language to be involved. Then when you reach this level of language, then it's a different thing. But it's like I said, we only had immigration for 35 years now. Mm. So we do not have a sizable, even though we have a sizable immigrant community, maybe they are not so active. And because from where they came from, now we are having the second generation being brought up in Finnish schools, which is a different thing. This will help the overall picture. But Finnish political system is very open, and the distance of power is traditionally very low. So I'm walking in the street. I don't have any bodyguards with me. I'm an MP, and people just stop me and say, "Hey, Atte, you're doing a great job." Or they stop me and say, "Hey, why are you doing this and this kind of decision? I don't like this. Can you explain to me?" Mm. And I will talk to and interact with these people. But maybe from where some other cultures, it's not so open. So the immigrants might feel that, it's not for me. It's for the elite in the society. It's not for the common person. And one person, I was, because I'm always dealing my brochures before the elections. This is the way that you do campaigning here. So there was an immigrant who could not really speak Finnish, and he was trying to read it. And I said, I can speak English, so we can talk it over. And he said, this is a very nice thing that I'm actually very much, I think, alike. That I think you have very sound principles. He said, but I cannot vote for you. So I said, okay, I mean, you can vote when you have lived in, was it 2 or 3 years, you lived in Finland permanently, then you can vote in the municipality elections, you have to be a citizen to vote in the parliamentary elections. But I asked this person that, okay, you are free to vote whoever you want, but it's, can I ask you, why don't you want to vote for me? And he said, no, it's not to you, it's the kokoomus, that he thinks that because he's an immigrant, that he needs to vote for either the Left Alliance or the Greens, because they are more pro-immigrant. So I said the same thing to him as I told you to you now, that no, my party is very pro-immigration, that we need to separate the different types of immigration. If you want to work here, build a business here, welcome. And the guy said, but can I really, really vote for anyone that I like? And I said, yes, nobody will come into the voting booth to see who this person has voted. Actually, if you come out of the booth and you show that, this is the number I've written on the ballot, it will be rendered invalid. So you have to go and vote again because the secrecy has to be there. And the guy said, oh, so you can actually vote who you like? And I said, yes, I will vote to you, he said.
Okay, yeah. But this is very, picking up on that. So, because in the last municipal election, I'm sorry, Sabah, I know I think, but what we're doing is a very open discussion. That's why we're touching a lot of these different points. But let us know where you want us to absolutely stop, because if we're running over time for some topic. Yes, but I just want to pick up on this thing that, because I wish we had done this earlier, because we are the biggest, PinFin is the biggest community, but I wish we had earlier, but nevertheless, we did start from the last, and now we're making it a regular priority thing for engaging our people with the political system. And what I believe should happen is that, I went to the Kokomas website, I went to SDP and all of them, and they all have, you have like the women's wings, you have the students' wings. I think it was Kokomas or someone who also had like children's area for the parties as well. So the parties are engaging with different segments of the society, but they do not necessarily realize that, or perhaps don't put enough effort in the fact that immigrants, like for instance, and one of the topics we have here is about we have around, a significant number, over 1,000 students who come in, out of which most of them are technology or sciences, and they move into different fields, and over 50% of them settle down. So this is a significant number of new voters that you
Absolutely.
have. And the parties don't seem to put the right enough effort to tap into them. It's kind of like you said, the language is an issue, but it's also a chicken and egg kind of a situation that, for instance, like if I go to work in a pizzeria and I don't know the language, I get a job there and I start working. Once I have to do it, it's very quick. You pick it up.
Yep.
And that's actually, as an IT consultant, I didn't become so fluent in the language because of my work has always been
in English.
Yeah. But I was told this, and that if you really want to learn, go work in a pizza shop.
Yeah.
And
where you have to where you are forced to learn the language.
Yes, it's the same
this
thing.
Is true. Yeah.
It's the same thing applies. I believe that if the parties would just give it a little bit bandwidth, allow the people to come in and integrate with the parties and allow to stand up, even if their skills are not so good. They would come and
they would become better.
And because people, they see this is this like an honor, being able to represent. In the government level at some point as a councillor or so, it is an honor.
It is an honor, and be able to. That's why people, if a person is political and you want to be active in your society and your community, then you can be a political person without being like a candidate in the elections. Because if you join the party, then you will have access to the politicians in the municipal level, in the city level, and also in the parliamentary level. I will give you an example. Kokoomus is mostly, you can be a direct member of the party, but most of the Kokoomus members are not actually members of Kokoomus party, but members of this kind of regional society. My regional society in Helsinki is the Helsingin Kansallisseura. And when I was in the board, now I didn't have time anymore, but when I was in the board of this society, registered society, it was a very, very, there was a lot of immigrants. We had one person from Bangladesh, one person from Kazakhstan, one Swedish-Finnish person, one from Kurdistan, from former Iran. We had one where was this one guy from, I think it was the Philippines. So you had so many immigrant people. And then when they asked, do you have immigrant politicians within your society? And I said, no, we only have politicians. Some people coming from Finland, from different parts of Finland, some from abroad, but we all come together. We're all politicians. So you don't have to limit yourself into, these immigration activities if you're an immigrant. You can be active in safety and security, for example, in the foreign policy, like I am. So we try to make everybody feel welcome, even though they might not be able to speak very fluent Finnish in the beginning. I said, don't worry, just join us, come in, see how it goes. If you agree with what we're doing, then there is a place for you. And you will not be labeled as an immigrant, you will be labeled as a political person, a member of the same party. But of course you have to, immigrants, there are certain issues that are preventing immigration, certain issues that are preventing becoming integrated. And these issues we need to address too, but we see the individual. I'm looking at you, I'm not looking at two Pakistani people, I'm looking at two individuals who I'm interacting with on an individual level. Yeah. So this is coming from my party, that we are not labeling people based on their ethnicity, religion, skin color, because all of these are actually irrelevant. What the individual is like, that is what is relevant.
Yeah. That is so beautiful. The perfect way to look at it is that we are essentially all humans.
That's true.
At the very core, irrespective of the color or we're the accident of birth.
Yeah.
So we're just human.
We didn't choose our site of birth.
Exactly. So in our community, Pakistani community, PinFin, we have this target now to maximize participation in terms of joining, enrollment as membership, to maximize the membership of our community members, the Pakistani community, towards political parties.
Yeah.
And we are encouraging everyone to become part of whatever party they choose for. And I think the way you have put it, that if Kokoomus opens the doors and makes it, makes immigrants, not just necessarily just Pakistanis, but make it a bit more easier. So, you've got the language issue, but we'll manage somehow.
Yeah, we will. Like I said, we had so many different cultural backgrounds and ethnicities already in the board of this Helsingin Kansallisseura when I was there. So it was never an issue. Some people were maybe a little bit earlier in the learning curve in the Finnish language, but everybody is helped. Everybody is a valued member. So if somebody is looking at this and viewing this, and you think that what I'm saying makes sense, and you agree with me, then join Kokoomus, join Helsingin Kansallisseura, join my election campaign in 2 years' time, and you will be included.
Sure. As
sorry for this, I need to do a little bit of
do that.
Yeah.
But we as a Pakistani community would see you as very favorably, as you're supporting Pakistan.
I am, and I have to say that I have a very, very favorable opinion of Pakistan. I remember fondly my time there, and actually now we are going to Islamabad at the end of this year in December. Okay. Because I'm also the chairman of the Finnish Asia-Europe parliamentary what is this meeting concept. Okay. The ASEP has not been able to function because of the differences considering Ukraine and the war on Ukraine and Russia. But what I say that it's not, we are not, because we Europeans sometimes we can be a little bit high and mighty. And we make other countries that you have to choose between us or the Russians, us or the Chinese. And this is a wrong approach. If you're like threatening other countries that you need to make a choice, then some of the countries, for example, in Central Asia, they have no other choice. They have to choose Russia and China because look at the map. So and of course Pakistan also, Europe is very far away, whereas China is very close. So this kind of it's not a good way to do foreign policy. We need to engage in discussion. I do not have to agree with everything that the Pakistani government says. I do not have to agree with everything that the Chinese government is saying, or the American government, by the way. But we need to have dialogue. We need to have open dialogue, and we need to go and visit. And fortunately, we are able to go with the ASEP delegation to visit Islamabad. And I'm also as a chairman of the Finnish Pakistani Friendship Group, Parliamentary Friendship Group. I will be able to meet the Pakistani Finnish Parliamentary Friendship Group, which I very much look forward to.
Yeah. Perhaps now we go to the topics. Yeah.
So economy is always the key that drives societies and governments towards specific policies. It is also generally the reason that it starts to cause friction between native and immigrant communities of any country. Finnish economy currently is suffering from serious challenges. There is a rising unemployment and falling GDP. Unemployment rate at 10.2%, as second highest in Europe, and GDP growth rate in negative 0.1%. The increase in defense expenditure and regional security threats have its effect too. What are Kokomas Party and your governments plan to solve these unemployment problems?
That's a very good question.